Yo, yo, welcome back to the Golf Strong Project, episode 7. Joined as always by Dr. Tim Rivotto up in the great northeast of the United States. I am live from Jacksonville Beach, Florida, a mile from the beautiful ocean and 472-degree weather at the moment. And that's that. Tim, what's up, homie?
Nothing. It's a good day. Thursday, I saw Antonio Brown got kicked out of practice, and Justin Thomas is on the top of the leaderboard. So it's all things are right in the world.
Everything is right in the world. Yeah, I saw that with Thomas. Yeah, that was good stuff. The other news we picked up, this was like last night. Patriots have a preseason game tonight, and apparently there's a competition between Mac and Cam. It is not Cam's show at the moment. Mac Attack may be the guy. For all of you people listening to this who aren't Boston fans, whatever, you can screw off for the next 2 minutes while Tim and I talk about that. But it's important stuff, right?
I know. I can't tell if it's just Boston newspaper and like Boston journalist hype, or it's like actually they're pretty high on him. But hey, either way, I'm pretty excited.
Belichick's not. I mean, he called Cam the starter, but Cam the other day in his interview was like, "Yeah, he hasn't told me I'm the starter, so I'm just gonna." Do my thing and what have you. So I'm going to see. We'll see how they play tonight. We'll see how it goes tonight. We'll see if Mac Attack is. I'm just going to call him Mac Attack. I'm sure he's probably already got 100 nicknames, but I think Newton calls him like Mac and Cheese or something. Whatever.
Mac is just a great name for nicknames. That's
the best. Mac, Return of the Mac. It's just the best. So. Yeah, all exciting things that we just love. For anybody who just caught on to that, you can come back and we're going to start talking about golf again. high quality stuff. All right, so let's get into this here. We're going to talk about conditioning today, endurance conditioning for golfers. We'll talk a little bit about what that means, what it looks like. Again, as always, we will discuss misconceptions because conditioning specifically is in some ways overutilized and in some ways underutilized. So we're going to kind of rock through that, talk through it, and hopefully you guys feel educated when this is all said and done. So let's get into this a little bit here. So when it comes to conditioning for the golfer, Tim, let's talk a little bit about. Whoa.
Uh-oh.
I got a bunch of. Holy smokes! What's happening?
Blowing you up? Is someone blowing up your spot right now?
I just got like a phone call, and then like my computer just started playing in my ear. Holy crap, dude. I just had so much noise in my headphones. I thought for sure God was just talking to me. Just like, it's time to go.
Just overstimulate.
That was wild, dude. That threw me for a loop. Holy crap.
That's like the surge in power right before your power goes out. You get like the quick flash, and it's like, boom, everything's black.
To tell you what. I couldn't tell if I was going crazy or not. My dog's freaking out now. All right. So, anyways, back to the times here. Let's talk about conditioning. So, Tim, let's start with a base level definition of conditioning. What is conditioning? What is endurance?
Yeah. So conditioning is going to be basically for what most people call like cardio work. Yep. Right. So if you ask them what they do in the gym and they say, oh, cardio, I get on the Stairmaster, I get on the treadmill, I get on the bike, and something where you're getting your heart rate up, you're working on, your cardiovascular system. So your heart, your lungs, and trying to kind of work on your engine, so to speak, right? Your motor and that sort of thing versus the focus on muscle strength and speed that we've talked about in the prior couple of weeks.
And improve your body's ability basically to utilize oxygen.
Yep.
I mean, that's the gist of it, is improving your body's ability to do that. And remember, your heart is a muscle. Just like anything else, it requires exercise, right? And so for the most part, that's also something to consider, is that when we work on some of our endurance work, we are working on getting that heart rate elevated. But at the end of the day, it is about improving our body's ability to utilize oxygen.
Yeah. So, and that's a good point. It's a two-part process, right? You've got to get the air into your lungs, breathe it all in, and then you've got to get the oxygen from that air into your blood, out to your muscles. So it's kind of a two-part training process there.
Yep. And then you got to get rid of the CO2, Dumb and Dumber edition. In with the good, out with the bad. In with the good, out with the bad.
I found his pills.
Pills are good. Pills are good. My Elsa.
Classic.
Great movie. Oh, terrific. So I actually think we should dive into this first. So when it comes to conditioning for the golfer, Tim, how much base conditioning does a golfer need?
So we just want you to be able to keep your energy level up to play 18 holes. And that's gonna vary a tiny bit whether you're walking or you're riding, right? You're gonna need more kind of energy and endurance to walk 18 holes versus ride. Mm-hmm. But we just want you to have that endurance, that energy level to get through all of the shots that you need to complete for that 18 holes.
Period. End of story. In terms of base level of conditioning, that's not necessarily our recommendation, but that's all you need to participate in the game of golf. Can you walk or ride 18 holes without holes 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, where you're too exhausted to make the shots you need to make? So when it comes to heart rates that we see on tour, right, just because we have the data on this, the heart rates fluctuate between 90 and 120. You might have some outliers that are a little higher and lower, just depending on how hot it is, how tired they are, stress. Stress is going to play a role in some of these people's heart rates, but as a whole, between 90 and 120 beats per minute is your average heart rate. Can you maintain that and have it not affect your golf game when it counts? That's really the biggest thing when it comes to conditioning. Tim, do you have anything else to beyond that?
No, heart rate, and then I'd say like breathing rate too. Like how heavy are you breathing, right? Yeah. So especially if you think like you've got to walk up a hill and then hit a shot, your ability to control your breath, control your heart rate, get your heart rate down to that kind of 90 to 120 zone, and then get your breathing down to a level where you're not just panting and really struggling there. That'd be the only thing I'd add.
That's the truth. And so I guess we'll dive into this quickly now as well, is the best way, just like the best way to get better at golf is to play golf. The best way to improve your conditioning specifically for golf, not as a whole, specifically for golf, is to go walk 18 holes and play golf.
Definitely.
Right? Because that is how you improve your ability to do that. Now, you could say that, well, I've been riding the bike for 30 minutes, every other day. And so my conditioning is pretty good. And I always say to those people the same thing. A lot of them or people listening to this probably have played sports or they're involved in stuff, right? Especially in high school, because most people played high school sports. When you went from one season to the next, so I give the example of from football season to basketball season for me personally, I was in good shape during football season. I ran all the time. I'm in football practice. I'm wearing pads. Like, I'm in good shape. My first week of basketball practice was absolutely brutal. I was tired. I couldn't breathe. I'm like sitting there like dry heaving, like you're exhausted. Absolutely. Because they're not the same thing. They are different things. So just because I just had an older gentleman today and I talked about this, he's constantly riding the bike. He went out and played last week for the first time. He's coming off an injury. He was exhausted. And he only played 9 holes. But he's literally getting like 100-ish minutes of bike riding in a week. So they are different things. So when it comes to getting good at endurance for golf, go walk 9 to 18 holes. That is your base level.
That's it. That? Yeah. No, and anyone who does walk regularly knows this well, whether they know that they know it or not, right? For me, it's the summer months. For you, I know you're in Florida, so it might be the fall into the winter months where you're starting to walk again, just because it's not sweltering. But for me, like in May, if I'm going to walk 18 holes, I'm pretty tired afterwards. Yeah. I still work out through the winter and everything, but the first time I go and walk 18, I'm pretty tired. And then, now that we're in August, last weekend I went out and walked 18 and didn't even think twice about it. It was, still felt fresh afterwards. I had worked out that morning. So you just build, it builds on itself. So for that guy who just got out for the first time, I mean, that's awesome. and staying positive with that and knowing, all right, well, I'm tired now, but I've got to keep doing it so I can get my legs under me, get my endurance up.
Yeah, they're different things. The body's in different environments and you have to plan for that.
That's it.
Now, that's not to say that we are not also doing other endurance conditioning during your training process, right? So for most golfers, now there are some that are the exception, but for most people, their endurance to be able to play the game effectively is one thing. We're also going to work on conditioning in the gym as its own separate entity, because you do need a base level of aerobic capacity and conditioning as a whole. And that can be, again, for heart function, that's for lung function. That's also for maintaining body weight. That's also for building anaerobic capacity. So those are things I still deem under conditioning, whether that is weighted carries, if we're doing assault bike work, all of those things, which we'll talk about the things that we like to use, are still important. They're just not necessary for the game of golf. The game of golf, be able to walk 18 holes, you're good to go. But to be a good athlete and to optimize your human potential, we do other things in the weight room that do that. So Tim, what are some ways that you add in aerobic work into your workouts that doesn't necessarily have a direct correlation to golf?
Yeah. So before I say that, I just want to reiterate, like, the baseline is being able to walk 18, right?
Yes.
So you don't want to be operating at your baseline every time you go out there, right? That'd be like if you could only lift 20 pounds. So if you had to load your backpack up, like every time you had a bunch of textbooks in your backpack and you're at 20 pounds, like you're doing the most work you can do. That's just not, it's not, man, you can't play 2 days in a row or a couple of days a week if you're going at your max capacity all the time. So that's just a quick mention on why it's so important that we do this work.
For sure.
The way I like to, so I'm a runner by trade, right? I'm a distance runner, cross country. So I like doing that stuff. So that's part. Yeah, I know. So that's just in my routine, and that's what I like to do. So that's where I get my base aerobic capacity from. I go out 2 days a week usually. If I'm like training for something specific, maybe 4 or 5 days a week. But going out for a run, different distances, different speeds, depending on, how well did I sleep the night before? What did I do the day before for workout or play golf? So I think that's one of the keys is it's okay to do that longer form bike or running, because I do it myself, but you've got to alternate it too. I don't go out every single time and run for an hour and run 7-minute miles, because that's just not productive. Sometimes I go out and I run 8-minute miles. Sometimes I go out and I run 3 miles. So it's a great way to work on your just base endurance and your aerobic capacity and kind of your energy level. So Tim brings up a super good point, which is number one. He just said that he likes to run, and thus he runs. And that's one of the ways that he works on his aerobic capacity. That is an important thing, because golfers are going to be different in this. I have a lot of different guys. Some guys love to run. It's one of the things they like to do. Some guys only want to get on the bicycle. Some guys I don't have running. I've got some of my older clients right now who they don't run. They're 65, 68, 70 years old, and running isn't one of their ways to get aerobic work in. So maybe we do go on elliptical or a treadmill, or they're walking outside, or they're on a bike. The thing that you have to understand as golfers watching this right now is that it needs to be specific to you and something you're going to stick with long-term, right? A lot of times people get caught up being like, okay, I have to do 60 minutes of this for it to be effective, or I've got to do 60 minutes of this for it to be effective. Or alternatively, I've got to do CrossFit style workouts. I've got to do HIIT style workouts. I've got to do crazy stuff for me to be in shape. It needs to be based on kind of what you like and what you want to do. Now, personally, for most clients, have a little bit of a combination of both. They will have some kind of low intensity steady state, which we call LISS, or you'll see it listed as LISS in different things, which is just low intensity and steady state. So that would be
running 3 miles at the same pace. That would be biking for 45 minutes at roughly the same pace with the same resistance, versus HIIT training or interval training, where it's a little more high intensity and there's intervals built in. So one of my favorite workouts for clients is they do 15 minutes, they do 20 seconds, balls to the wall on the bicycle or on the Airdyne or the assault bike. And then they rest for 1 minute and 10 seconds. So that gets to 1.5 minutes essentially of an interval. And then they go 20 seconds, hard as they can. 1 minute and 10 slow, 20 seconds, and on for 15 minutes, right? It's a very short workout, but you are done when that workout's over, right? You are exhausted, but that's the whole workout, right? Sometimes I'll put that at the end of a strength workout. It depends on where they are in their programming. But sometimes that's it, right? So I do like to incorporate in the beginning. I like getting a couple, especially if they've done nothing. I like to incorporate a little bit more of that steady state. So if you're listening to this and you've done nothing, like you've been couch potatoing, or even if you've been doing like a little bit of working out, but not much cardio work, I recommend like get on a bike for a half hour steady state and just see how you do. Maybe we'll increase that to 45 minutes or 60 minutes. And then later on, we'll start adding in more anaerobic type work. So we should go through that. So Tim, aerobic versus anaerobic, what does that kind of mean?
Yeah, so aerobic, you have basically, to get scientific, you have the oxygen available to just keep things going, right? So it's a comfortable level. Your breathing's pretty comfortable. Your heart rate's a little bit higher than normal, but pretty comfortable still. And you can just pretty much carry it on using oxygen. If we're getting into anaerobic, we're getting into a little higher intensity. So your heart rate's getting higher and you can't keep up with, like you can't take oxygen out of your blood or breathe out of your breath fast enough to supply your muscles. So you're going to hit a wall. Think about the 100 meter dash, right, in the Olympics. Most of those guys are hitting their top speed by halfway. Right. And then they can't go any faster because their muscles are they can't get any more oxygen out of their blood that quickly. Right. So you're going into a period where you've got to use something else to keep your muscles going. So whether that's kind of the sugar stores or the carb stores that you have in your muscles or other things in the body, you can't just rely on your breath essentially.
So to piggyback off that, think of aerobic means you need oxygen. Oxygen is required. So any endurance athletes, oxygen driven completely, right? They're using oxygen to create energy. That energy is used to propel them forward. Anaerobic is without. So AN means without. Right? So, or no. So there's no oxygen available. So you're having to use, your first ATP phase, and then you're not really using any oxygen to do what you are. That's when you see people, or if anyone watching this, it's when you were to run, again, 100 meter dash, or you were to do that bike workout I just said, that 20 seconds. You're not breathing super heavy when that's said and done, but your muscles are almost non-functional, right? They're like super burning, like it feels really, really burny, which, by the way, let's get this out of the way here. It is not lactic acid buildup that makes your muscles not work.
No.
Right? It's just not a true thing. So if you're listening to this and that blows your brain away, it's not lactic acid.
No. Right? Your body uses lactic acid. Yeah.
It's not. So as I understand it, so it's lactate and hydrogen ions.
Yes.
Building up, right? If I'm not mistaken, and earmuffs for anyone who's, below the age of like 10. Lactic acid's I think only found in female parts. I'm pretty sure it's only found in the vagina. As I understand it, I will look that up. All the freaking fact checkers in the world. Somebody's going to come in here. I can't believe he said that.
Have you found the magical lactic acid? Sorry, I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. I had to slide in a little one-liner.
Slide in.
Yeah. And there it goes.
Podcast is done. We're about to get censored.
Yeah, censored hard.
No, we'll be okay. You can literally talk about anything these days.
It's true.
Anyways, so back to quads being tired. Understand that aerobic, you need oxygen to create power or energy. Anaerobic, you're not using oxygen because you need energy too quickly. And so that system is, kind of slow and cumbersome, but it's reliable and it can last for a while. So we like to use both of those systems when we're talking about training. So we do need you to have a base level of endurance. And again, that endurance is the ability to play 18 holes, but we also want to work on your global aerobic capacity. Can you do some high intensity steady state work or high intensity interval work? Can you do low intensity steady state work? Are you capable of doing that? Are we improving your heart health, your lung health? Because that is overall important. Just because it doesn't necessarily mimic golf, it is making you a better athlete. Right. And just like, it's just like we talk about gym exercises don't need to look like the golf swing. By making you more powerful, I'm making you a better golfer, or at least I'm giving you the opportunity to produce more clubhead speed. The stronger I make you, the more you can attenuate the forces of the golf swing. The more endurance you get, the more conditioned you are, the better you're going to be at handling the game of golf. That doesn't mean it's a 1-to-1 ratio, but it's improving your ability to perform in those areas. Is that a fair description?
Absolutely. And, the more endurance you have, the longer you can potentially continue that power and strength and speed output, right? If you have a really small gas tank, you can't keep that speed and power up very long. But if you have that good baseline endurance, you can recover between shots. You can get your heart rate back down to a reasonable level after, something exciting happening or something stressful happening.
Right.
And yeah, we're improving your overall health, right? We want our heart rate to be low when we're just sitting around doing nothing. We don't want it racing all the time. We want our blood pressure low, and doing this type of training can help lower those two things: your heart rate, your blood pressure. Helps your heart just work better, as you said, right? The function of the muscle contracting. And it can help your hormones too, right? So as we get older, all our hormone levels start to drop a little bit. And that screws around with, how we feel and how our bodies work. So if you can get some of this work in and get your hormones kind of surging through the body, it can help kind of stabilize you that way too.
Go work out. Don't lose your testosterone before you need to.
Definitely not.
Work out. To any of the men listening to this podcast right now, working out will only help you. Women as well. I'm not saying that's not the truth, but like, to see the amount of men as they age where testosterone is dropping and dumping, but they're sedentary. They're not doing anything, right? I'm going on a hormone rant, which isn't, I'm not an endocrinologist by any means, but we have plenty of data. Exercise helps you. You need growth hormone. You need testosterone. You need to produce testosterone, right? Yeah. You want your libido to go up? Get in the gym.
Yeah. And remember, I'm not an endocrinologist obviously either, but I've heard endocrinologists talk about this, and the normal levels keep going down too, right? So now, if you or I were go to get a blood test and maybe we're in the normal level, I don't know what the numbers are, but let's just say the normal is 100 milligrams of testosterone in your blood. Back in like the 80s, and especially in 50s and 40s, that normal level was way higher.
Yeah, we're just a bunch of betas. That's the answer to that story. We're just a bunch of beta males.
Just fading into the dark.
Fading into the dark, yeah, which needs to be corrected in every way, shape, form in the world.
Big time.
Right? It is of no use to anybody. No use. We are Jordan Peterson people on this podcast. All day, every day. There's nothing virtuous about a bunny because they're not scary. They can't do anything. You're virtuous if you are a monster. It's one of the reasons that my slogan is "Be strong, be monsters." Because it takes virtue to be a monster, but you control it.
Exactly.
But to be a monster, you've got to have the things necessary to be a monster. Testosterone is one of them. Like, you've got to be a badass, but you have it under control. You could do terrible things, but you choose to do good things. We're going on a philosophical tangent here, but that is a giant belief of Tim and I's, is to be great, to do great things. You actually have to be a monster. You just know how to control it, because that's what makes you a person of character, of integrity, of kindness, where you're capable of doing crazy bad things because you're a monster, but you're a tamed monster. You're a controlled. It's violent elegance, just like the golf swing. It is violent elegance. And that is a staple of what we believe. So I don't know how we got on this tangent about being manly, but it's time to be manly. Like he just said, we shouldn't see testosterone dropping.
Yeah.
We need people to start seeing that shit go up.
Get that T up. Be a monster. Be, I know we've talked about our long list of future podcasts, but Harry Potter being one of them.
Yes.
He knows when to break the rules, right? He can be a monster when he needs to be, but for the large part, he's a good person. He follows the rules. So that's
in him is Voldemort,
right.
Like Voldemort is like he sees through him. Like he's got the parcel tongue. Like he can talk to snakes. Like he has evil, essentially. He's able of doing awful things. Yes. And he chooses to do what is good.
He does. But let's save this. Let's save this. Good stuff. But let's save this.
Woo! Conditioning to Harry, to Jordan Peterson. If you've not read 12 Rules for Life, go buy it. And if you don't like that book, this probably isn't the podcast for you to listen to.
Yeah, this isn't the podcast for
you. The same for you. There's plenty of others that you can go and fiddle with. Anyways. All right, back to conditioning. So let's talk about some misconceptions or things that we see that we don't love. One of which being people spend way too much time doing conditioning in a lot of cases. So, Tim, what kind of athletes are golfers? Are they strength athletes? Are they endurance athletes? Or are they power athletes?
We are definitely power athletes.
Power.
I
got the power.
Yeah. For those listening, we just had a little dance move, which was fantastic.
I kept it tame. I was going to come out with like the Cabbage Patch. But anyways.
But
yes, power athletes.
That's it. So we want to obviously train that baseline gas tank, but we want power and strength as well. So I think people do the conditioning stuff more because it's the easiest, right?
I agree with that. Yeah.
Like to go for a run, you just got to put your shoes on and go. Same thing with the bike, really. Like if you just put on a helmet, put on some shoes, and go for a bike ride. Like you can just do that stuff so easily.
Walk, elliptical.
Yeah. Which is great. And that means you should do it. It's easy. If you like to do it, go do it. But I think we've got to mix up the type of conditioning that we're doing, right? So that it's time efficient, because I think that's one of the most common excuses that we hear is I just can't fit it in. Life's so busy with my family, with work, with trying to play golf, with all the stuff in life. So Jackson, what are some ways that you like to mix it in that's not just getting on the bike for 60 minutes or the usual? The
usual stuff. Yeah, I would. So personally, I do a lot of work that is quick. I like interval work. I like that it's quick, it's in, it's out. So if you have a half hour, 45-minute workout, a half hour is going to be you doing power work and lifting, getting stronger. And I might devote 10 to 15 minutes to that bike workout I told you earlier. Mm-hmm. Because quick aerobic work like that, right, is actually just as beneficial as if I had made you walk for 45 minutes. I've just condensed it. That's not to say that walking 45 minutes is useless. That does have its benefits. But just by getting that quick workout in, maybe at the end of a workout, or it's like an extra off day conditioning, I've benefited your cardiovascular system immensely. Right. The thing that I will say is that your conditioning, when in terms of prioritizing it in your training, your conditioning should never take away from your power and strength work. Because again, the principle of specificity, specifically, you're a power athlete. Anything that takes away from that does not help you as a golfer. Right. So that doesn't mean you don't do conditioning. It just means that it's the lowest on the totem pole of priority in your training modalities. Power and strength, honestly, just getting people stronger, they'll be better clubhead speed wise. But getting them powerful at that point is huge, right? Your power athletes, ensuring their mobility is where we need it to be. And then conditioning, ensuring once it's beyond its base level, improving that. But that is tertiary to power and strength.
Right. And if we think about what, like the health benefits and we've talked about aerobic capacity, your heart rate, your blood pressure, like all those good benefits that you get from doing this conditioning stuff, they're all pretty comparable, whether you're doing like the aerobic steady state stuff or you're doing the interval training, anaerobic stuff. It's just making sure we're doing them both in the right way, right? So when you described what you like to do with your people, 20 seconds on, a minute and 10 seconds off, you're giving them enough time off, right, to rest, recover, and then really exert themselves in that 20 seconds.
Yeah.
If you're doing something, Tabata is great in some areas, but if you're doing 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off, and that's all you're doing, and you're doing a lot of it, I mean, you're redlining yourself. You're going to get some of those benefits, but you're also, you're going to be so tired that it's really hard for your body to recover, so it can put all the effort and all the intensity into that next rep that you need to do. So we want to make sure that we're being time effective. We want to make sure we're getting those good health benefits, which you can get with both aerobic and anaerobic. And you want to do what you like. You don't have to ride the bike if you hate the bike.
Yeah. Tim just brought up a super important point. We didn't really give you the why of, obviously you don't want to use a bunch of conditioning to take away from power and strength. But one of the other reasons is if it is affecting your ability to recover, conditioning and endurance cannot be that big of a role if they're affecting your ability to recover the next day and get the power and strength work in. Right. Your workouts should not be so damaging to you physiologically. I say damaging loosely. They should not be so exhausting to you physiologically that it's affecting your ability to recover and thus perform the next day. Right. Because the gym, right, just like conditioning is, tertiary to everything, the gym is secondary to the golf course. The goal is to perform on the golf course and be jacked as shit with six-pack and look good at the beach. Maybe that's secondary too, but hey, it all looks good stuff. But the goal is to play better golf and to be better on the golf course. The gym is designed to improve the trainable qualities that will make you better at that. And conditioning is then there to also make sure that you're athletic enough to do that as well. But if the gym or your conditioning, your endurance work is hindering your ability to recover and thus perform on the golf course, that's an issue. And we have to make some adjustments to your program from there. Absolutely.
So I think another one that I hear misconception wise is that if I'm just going to go to the gym and do something, or I'm going to go out for a walk and just get my heart rate up. What do you think about that mindset?
About just going outside and walking to get my heart rate up?
Yeah. Like I'm just going to, I'm going to go exercise. I'm just going to get my heart rate up and, do whatever.
So first immediate thoughts to that is we almost never work out as hard as we think we do. Right? There are some people in the world that are redliners, like you were talking about, where they will just go balls to the wall, hard as they can. Most people that I've worked with and experienced with don't work out nearly as hard as they think they do. Agreed. So when you say I'm going to go get a walk and get my heart rate up, yeah, your heart rate might have gone up a little bit, but you really didn't make any changes. You're not tired. It didn't affect you a whole lot. So you didn't really do anything. So it's 100%. Not like you've accomplished nothing essentially.
100%. Usually when people say that to me, I'll ask them if they have like a Fitbit or something and just check their heart rate, because it does go up a little bit, but it doesn't go up a whole heck of a lot. And remember, we want to hit certain zones so that we're in that kind of golden zone of stressing your body hard enough that you're going to actually make some changes for the better, but not stressing it so hard that you can't really recover. Right. You can easily go over, but you can also easily stay under. So we want to make sure that we are doing some harder, focused, intentional work. And I think we want to have a plan too. You want to know, like, today's Thursday. So today is my, HIIT day. I'm going to go do a HIIT class and do some of those high intensity intervals. Tomorrow, I'm going to be a little more tired and a little more sore from today. So tomorrow's going to be my yoga day, and I'm going to go kind of relax and recover and stretch.
Yep.
Got to have a plan.
All of that's true. And again, remember, there may be things in your program, like you just talked about, where we will overstretch or we'll overreach a little bit. We're really trying to tax the system so that adaptation has to occur. But then after that, we have to be able to recover, like Tim just said. It might be like a big overreach. Like it might be one of those days where we've done some testing plyometric wise, or it was like a heavier deadlift day, or it was a heavier squat day. And we did some conditioning at the end of it, and you're tired. So the next day, pending that it was actually taxing enough for you and it wasn't just a joke, you may need to do a yoga workout or go take a walk or only go play 9 holes, whatever it ends up being. That is a super important point from a program perspective that you need to consider. What else? What else is there in the conditioning world that's important?
The other one I hear a lot of times is, someone will have an injury, right? So they'll hurt their back or they'll hurt their knee, roll their ankle, and they've got to take, maybe 2 months off and really, nurse their injury, rehab their injury. And then they're ready to go. They don't have pain anymore. They haven't done much, but they're ready to go. Can you just jump right back in where you were 2 months ago when you rolled your ankle?
Nope, sure can't. And that's for conditioning, strength, power. For the gym as a total, that's not the way that we do it, which is one of the reasons why rehab is having a good PT or chiro, whoever your health care practitioner is that's helping you recover from your injury. It's so important that they understand training and that they understand how to load you and how to progress you. And you're not just doing freaking quad sets and short arc quads and this crap all the way through PT, right? Are they, especially if you're an athlete, are you getting back to lunging, squatting? Are we gradually building you up? Because in that case, things are a little bit different. We'll use the ankle sprain as an example. You sprained your ankle in a bunker on hole 3, whatever. And it's a pretty bad sprain. And if you've not loaded that thing over the next 4 to 6 weeks, and then you go right back to doing what you were doing, that's going to be an issue. Are you going to be okay? Probably. Yeah. But you may be predisposed to another ankle sprain.
Sure.
Your cardiovascular system is not as strong as it was. Your muscles are not producing force like they were. We know that first 4 to 6 weeks of training, your nervous system is adapting and you're getting strong quickly. But your tissues might not be ready to handle a lot of force. You're also going to be nervous about putting weight onto that ankle, or especially if it's your lead foot. Are you comfortable loading into your lead foot in your follow through? Mm-hmm. Right? That's why having a good strength coach, guys like Tim and I, who are rehab professionals and strength coaches, understand how to take you through that. Because a lot of people will, well, I've not really done anything for 6 months and I went out and played 18 holes and walked and I really can't walk today. Everything hurts. I'm tired. I don't feel good. My back hurts, whatever it ends up being. Mm-hmm. So it is very important that as you're rehabbing, you are building back slowly, right? You're slowly, once the ankle can handle biking, get on the bike for 15 minutes. Perfect. At least your heart rate's getting up. Once you feel comfortable swinging a golf club, get out to the range, start hitting golf balls. It might be limited, but we're going to build that up over time back to where you were, as opposed to 0 to hero and then probably back to 50% or 0.
Exactly. And that's a question close to my heart because as a runner, and I've seen a lot of runners in the past, that's what they'll typically do, right? Nurse a little knee pain, shut it down for 2 months, or even I had one guy who had to shut it, on and off, shut it down for 1.5 years. Yeah. And then he was all upset because he couldn't run the same time, the same average pace in his training runs as he did when he was a senior in college, which was 4 years ago, right? So he's talking about himself 4 years ago in better shape. The last 1.5 years, he hasn't done much. You shouldn't be running those speeds, right? You haven't put in that baseline amount of work. So it's definitely important to, give yourself the necessary time to recover and rehab your injury, and then make sure you're working with someone who can help you gradually work back in so that it doesn't happen again.
Benefits of a coach. One of the biggest benefits of having a coach is somebody who can guide you on the right path of you just talked about it. Having realistic expectations is half the battle.
Big time.
Right? Having bad expectations gets everybody in trouble. I should be able to do this because I used to be able to do this. Well, you used to be able to do that because you put in the work to be able to do that. So to expect that you're going to have that without putting the work in is pretty foolish. You can't expect to be the CEO of the company if you don't work for it. Right? It takes blood, sweat, tears, and getting in and out of the gym to get the goals that you want to get. You don't lose 20 pounds by changing nothing, right? Or expect that you can just do it. That's when people talk about they lose a step, this is a soapbox for me. think of it like this. When you were in high school, you said you were a cross-country guy. How many days a week did you train?
6.
6. Okay, for how long? 2 hours a day? 3 hours a day?
Yeah, at least an hour and a half. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll say an hour just to be nice. So 6 days a week at an hour. That's 6 hours per week of exercise, of activity. Okay.
Yeah.
So you then go to college and you do it recreationally, but maybe you get like 4 runs in a week and they're all an hour each, because that's 4 hours a week. Okay. You get out, you start getting into the working world, and you're lucky if you get 2 runs in a week. And they usually tend between like 30 and 45 minutes. If you're lucky, you get an hour. So high end, 2 hours a week. And you're upset that you've gained weight. You're not as conditioned as you were. You're not as thin as you were. Well, let's look at something. You used to train 6 hours a week. Now you train at most 2 hours a week. A third of what you used to do. It's not that you've lost a step. You stopped stepping.
Precisely.
That's a problem. And you need to look in the mirror to assess that problem. I went on a rant about this on Instagram yesterday. People are not willing to look in the mirror and say, I'm not doing enough to reach the goals that I have, which means those goals, though they may seem important, they're not that important to you because it doesn't hurt enough for you to actually want to do it.
Right. It's hard to do. It's definitely hard to do. It's not easy, but it's necessary.
It is. But you're not losing a step. Again, you just stop stepping. Get stepping.
Exactly.
Get stepping.
Get to stepping. Well, I think I don't know. Do you have anything else? I think that's a good place to end it. I
think that covers everything.
Yeah.
I think that just about puts us where we are. I guess a side note that has nothing to do with golf or anything, but Tim and I went on a weird little philosophical rant today about Jordan Peterson and working hard for things and all of that. You know, the world right now is in freaking chaos. And I think as people that are listening to this podcast and watching this from your phone or the internet, and you've got freaking running water and life's pretty good. We have grocery stores. We can go get what we need. Like, we play golf for fun. Like, Tim and I get on this podcast and we just talk about golf and sports and fitness and health and nutrition. And, you know, I've got golf clubs behind me and books and a house. And, you know, we have, you know, as Americans, we have so much, right? We have awesome lives. We have access to things. We have the freedom to go be literally whatever you want to go be. You want to open up a store, right? You want to become the next big thing, become the next big thing. You have that ability immediately. And with what's going on in the world and Afghanistan, you're seeing kids that are begging to come here or be saved by soldiers. And it just, terrible things. This isn't to be political in any way. It's just to be grateful that we have petty problems. Like, our problems are nothing. Like, oh, my shaft broke, or, oh, I can't hit the ball 10 yards further. Yes, those are problems that we want to work on. And, you know, getting in the gym is a problem that Tim and I are passionate about, and working out and being healthy. But one of the other things is being good stewards of what we have. We are blessed beyond measure, beyond compare. And I think it's important for us to be good stewards of that and make sure that we don't miss the fact that other people are struggling. And we may not be able to fly over and help people or donate all the money in the world, but at the very least, be a good steward of what you have, and don't be wasteful, and be grateful for what we have. We have little problems. Our problems are nothing compared to some people. So on this podcast, we will talk about this stuff. You know, we are not afraid to talk about it because we believe in personal responsibility for your actions and what you think and what you do. And that is vital to success in this world. And we believe that wholeheartedly. So moving forward, we may talk about it more, but I think that's, that's something it's been bothering me recently, because I think people have become ungrateful for the fact that we live in an amazing place with amazing opportunities. And I think we really need to sit back and appreciate that more than we do now.
Well said. Amen.
That's it. I feel better.
Good. Excellent. Well, enjoy yourself a little bit of bourbon tonight. Put the feet up, recover.
Oh,
Get after it this weekend.
Tomorrow morning, deadlifts.
Let's go.
Deadlifts in the morning. Another note, Tim and I are coming out with a real awesome program talking about training, fitness, how to train as a golfer, the importance of it, educating you on it, and then showing you the movements you need to become the best golfer possible and the best athlete possible and to look super good when you take your clothes off. So that will be coming out in the very near future. Keep your eyes peeled. We're going to be putting out some more info on that coming up soon. But the Golf Strong Project is going to be coming to a golf course near you. If you're interested, you got a golf course that wants us to come talk. We've already got some that are getting lined up. Let us know. We'll get in touch. Otherwise, there's also going to be an online component where you can get this baby right delivered in the comfort of your home, on your computer. You can watch us, enjoy a glass of bourbon like we probably will this evening, and it'll all be good. So keep your eyes peeled for that. It'll be coming out. Tim, the last word?
That's it. Get after it this weekend.
That's right. All right, folks. I'll holler at you.
Peace.